You know, when a series is really, really bad, we call that in terminology jumping the shark. The famous episode of Happy Days where Fonzie literally jumped sharks through a water ski motorboat incident. But this episode of Twilight Zone, you would never think the creator of the Waltons would have done this. Well, this piece of crap. Black leather jackets. When I first saw it, I thought it was a parody episode of the Twilight Zone, and it's part of that terrible season 5. And many people call it, if not the worst episode of Twilight Zone, pretty freaking close. Now, directed by Joseph Newman and written by Earl Hamner of Walton's fame, Nathan Van Cleve did the music. Now, January 34th, 64, season 5, episode 18, and of course has interesting supporting cast of Michael Conrad of Hill Street fame as police officer Alan, Shelley Fabre, yes, that's Shelley Fabre, as Ellen Tillman, and Denver Pyle, of all people, of Dukes of Hazzard fame of Stuart Tillman. Now, in this one, I can't even believe the plot. Three aliens disguised as young men in leather jackets encounter a kink in their plan to exterminate humankind when one of them falls in love with a human girl. According to Searling's opening narration, three strangers arrive in a small town, three men in black leather jackets, in an empty rented house. We'll call them Steve and Scott and Fred, but their names are not important. Their mission is, as three men on motorcycles lead us into the Twilight Zone. Now, three beings, disguised as human males wearing leather jackets, are part of an advanced alien invasion force sent to Earth to infect city water reservoirs with bacteria that will kill all humans and domestic animals. Their own race needs room to expand. The pretext given to for the extermination is that humans are violent and hateful, and therefore deserve to be destroyed. Calling themselves Scott, Steve, and Fred, they rent a house in a suburban American town where they can keep in contact with their planet's leader while setting the plan in motion. Now, the youngest of the three aliens, Scott, falls in love with a girl who lives next door to the rented house, Ellen Tillman, who's not going to may have fallen in love with Shelley Fabre. Scott eventually tells Ellen about the alien plan in order to convince her to run away with him so he will escape death, but Ellen naturally mistakes the story for lunatic rantings. Ellen's father calls the local sheriff to take Scott away. The deputy who answers the call is part of the invasion force. Now, the police officer, of course, played by Michael Conrad, is also an alien. Now, when Scott contacts the leader of his world, believing the reports describing humans as inherently violent were made in error, he informs the leader that while violent individuals exist, as in all races, the majority of humans are essentially loving and peaceful, and implores them to call off the invasion. The leader refuses and deems Scott a traitor. Scott returns Ellen's house in a last attempt to persuade her. The deputy is waiting for him and takes him away. The Tillmans comfort their daughter, not realizing they are doomed by the upcoming alien invasion. The only people doomed by this episode is the 30 minutes we lost watching it. Although the alien symbol for the episode is quite freaky. Kind of looks like a animal's mouth turned sideways. Now, the closing narration: portrait of American family and even invasion from outer space. Of course, we know it's merely fiction, and yet think twice when you drink your next glass of water. Find out it's from your local reservoir, or possibly became direct to you from the Twilight Zone. Now, it was re-shown on what I call the late night city TV aircast in recent weeks. By the way, I don't know if you know this, triple episodes of Twilight Zone are being shown on city TV across Canada, and is drawing a really big following because it's your typical great Twilight Zone show, 2:30 to 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, in an interview with the Archive of American Television in 2003, Earl Hamner admitted that he thought that this episode was bad, and he was not as proud of it as most of the other episodes of the Twilight Zone that he wrote, but he still got paid. Now, in the Twilight Zone Companion by the great Mark Scott Zickery, he described the episode as It Came from Outer Space meets The Wild One. And ironically, Marlon Brando was impersonated by Burt Reynolds in an hour-long version of The Bard in the season before. Now, the motorcycles used, just in case you're wondering, because they're very popular, 1964 Harley Davidson Panheads. Now, ironically, this was a redo of an episode from season 1. The street that is used, the same as the one in season 1 episode, are the monsters are due on Maple Street. Like, I still can't get over that big eye off the TV. That's pretty freaky, very outer limitsy. So, ladies and gentlemen, I can say this without reservation. I can't give this episode any stars at all. If you could bury the episode, if you could not watch it, but it's not even a bad episode of The Outer Limits, not even a bad episode of the Canadian version of The Twilight Zone. This is ranks as one of the worst episodes Rod Serling ever put his name on. Night Gallery, most of those ones were Jack Laird production or showrunner, but this is just putrid. And you have a good cast here, Shelley Fabre, and then how about making this a plot? Making Shelley Fabre an alien woman that's trying to stop the people from coming in and killing humanity, and she kills the aliens, and she runs them over to a motorcycle, or the main alien, or like an alien vampire or something. But Shelley Fabre, you're wasting her. I mean, she worked with Elvis, for fig's sake. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here, we're a Twilight Zone podcast. Let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, and share. Season 5, not only hit and miss, migraine, some of them like black leather jackets.